Well, we have talked about this topic in the past. Different strategies, in terms of listing a property in this type of crazy market, being the seller's market right now. So we wanted to do a full seminar on it. So it's all in one place. A lot of questions are asked, I'm selling a house. What should I do to, properly get it up on the market and get it sold in this type of market? So this focus is going to be specifically on a seller's market. So we have other presentations that have to do with listing presentations, and we will refer you to that. So all the things you'll do to market and the value and, how to put together a listing presentation. That is not what this presentation is about. So it's not the marketability in terms of how you're going to market a listing, but we will talk about different things we can do specifically in a seller's market. Okay, so now we're taking the listing presentation that you guys do all the time and sort of molding it into the type of market we're in right now, which is obviously the seller's market. So getting right into it, listing in the seller's market, we're going to talk about market conditions, what drives the seller market, why are we in the market we're in. You're going to get that question, of course, from your sellers, buyers, etc. And you need to kind of explain. They're always going to ask, what's going on in this crazy market? Well, let's answer that question. The second thing is understanding what market value is. Anytime you go on a listing presentation, talk about price, market analysis, you need to understand the definition of what market value is and what it is truly to talk about any market. So we'll go over that. How to prepare your listing for sale in a seller's market, and when you're doing showing, some of the tips and tricks for the showing processes that will help you through the busyness of that market, and of course what to do for offers when they come in and how to set yourself up. So some good topics there. First of all, we are going to dive into market conditions. Let's talk about inventory. What drives a seller market? Well, it is inventory. The lack of it, but it's not just the lack of it. If there's a lack of inventory but no buyers, it's not a seller's market. So it's not all about inventory, and we talk about that because that is a driving factor right now. There's no inventory, and that is true. But a seller's market occurs when there's more buyer demand than sellers, right? So there's less inventory, but there's demand out there, right? And there's more demand than there is inventory. That's what creates a seller's market. That's bottom line. That's what it is. So when people are saying, well, what are we going to do to fix this problem? Well, we're either going to get rid of the buyers or we are going to get more inventory. That's the only thing we can do. So when you're talking about, and we're going to go into some of the outside influences of market conditions, those are the two things you should really always focus on when you're talking to people, is the fact that, well, the government programs are trying to bring down the amount of buyers by reducing or increasing interest rates. So it'll be less affordable. Well, it's already less affordable. So is this going to help inventory, or what is this going to do? Because now, affecting the inventory levels of somebody who can now not afford to purchase but hold on to their homes. It can really affect it in different ways, put it that way. So we'll go into the market conditions in a second in terms of what can affect that. But you have to balance the inventory levels, right? You have to balance between buyers and sellers, inventory and demand, right? And there's always that balance that we're trying to achieve. Property values will increase as the buyers have to compete for properties for sale. So what's the result? And I touched on it. If we do have a seller's market and there's less inventory and more buyers, it forces buyers to bid, right? Or forces buyers to pay more in order to get the property. So those who can afford it, or those who will put an offer in for more money, will get the house. Therefore, it's just pushing the price of the houses up. That is what's increasing the property values. So if those three concepts, or those concepts, you can talk openly with people about, you're a real estate agent. Congratulations, you're now able to talk about market conditions and why we're in the market we're in. So the driving factors, we talked about interest rates, investors, right? They love a rising market. They buy a property today, sell it tomorrow at a higher price. They just made 20%, right? So, and we had a 38% increase year over year. So people that bought last year can resell this year for 38% more. That's a great investment, a great return on investment. Now there's costs involved in that. And so you got to take off your costs with realtor fees and as well as land tax and all the rest of it. But they love it. They love a rising market. So investors are in it and they're still looking and they're still buying. A low building starts. So I just read an article that what has to happen, and they're going to take out zoning requirements for single property dwellings and stuff, and really I guess the Ontario government is thinking that if they can increase the multi-level dwellings, or multi-unit dwellings, that will put more people in a less amount of space. I don't know if that's true in terms of what that's going to help. Maybe in downtown Toronto, because there's no more land. But bottom line, if you push outwards of Toronto, it's not the family dwellings, other than the affordability may bring that price down in terms of the units. So, they're smaller, so they cost less. But in terms of land, I mean, there's still lots of land in Ontario. So, one of the things I suggest they start doing is, just removing some of the red tape in terms of getting these housing starts pushed through, permits, et cetera. So the municipalities really get, if somebody wants to build and they got the land and everything's all good, let's get the buildings started. Because we have more people coming into the country, right? Immigration. We have more buyers. There's more people here, more people coming. It's a very popular place in the world. Right now, Canada is double every other country in the world in terms of increase in value year over year. So we are the highest increase in value in the world by double everyone else. So when somebody from, let's say, a foreign country that maybe they want to get the money out of their country because of their policies that is restricting and et cetera, and they want to, where are they going to move? Where they want to immigrate from? Well, our immigration policies are fairly good, right, compared to some of the other, and our property values are going up and up and up and up. So in terms of their money putting into a healthy environment, we're all insured. We're a very healthy country to live in. And so that's really driven immigration high, and there's more buyers. So that's driving the price up. And then of course, foreign investment, those that don't necessarily want to live here, but want to invest here, and as we just went over. So those are some driving factors that are currently creating a low inventory. And then the other one on there that should be on there is the pandemic, right? I wanted to keep this a fairly neutral conversation in terms of what could happen in any market, but that one in the market today is definitely a factor. And I was talking to somebody in our Thornhill office 3 years ago, and they said, what do you think that's going to happen with the market? And I said, well, other than a major world pandemic, I think things are going in a great direction, et cetera. And sure enough, like 6 months later, there was a world pandemic. I said, what are the chances, right, of that happening? And it did crazy things for our market. Less people moving, right? People really don't like putting their house up for sale and going through that whole moving process during a pandemic with lockdowns and fear of different concerns. So that obviously, with all these things happening, this really, I mean, has affected our inventory. So let's talk about market value. When you are having the conversation about price on a house, people often just put these, and we do it all the time too, right? That sold way over market value. Well, did it? If you knew what market value was, you'd understand it didn't, right? So, sometimes it's nice to have that conversation. You don't want to go around and know it all and say, no, it didn't. Market value is what et cetera, but you want to be able to have a good conversation with them, because I think what people will do is they'll say, oh yeah, no, it's way over. It went way over market value. I'll get the next one. Well, guess what? What do you think the value of the market is now that one sold? And what do you think the market, it's not going down, it's going up. So with the next house that's comparable, guess what it's going to sell for? Even higher. So especially dealing with buyers, right? The concern on the selling side in the seller's market is the sellers start to think that they could have got more for their house. Oh yeah, a month later, my neighbors went for 50,000 more. I could have got another 50,000. Hey, listen, so's the next person, and so's the next person. So where are you going to jump out, right? You can wait forever, and then the market, changes. But the reality is that, yes, you have to let people know that when they sell their house. It happened with my sister-in-law's, still says, oh my gosh, my house resold in a year and it made on. I said, yeah, but you bought a house that now has gone up the same amount and it's a higher price. So you're made more money. So you kind of have to have that discussion. Let's talk about market value. This is, if you Google market value, this is what comes up, right? It defines it as the estimated amount for which a property should exchange on the date of valuation between a willing buyer and a willing seller at arm's length, right? After proper marketing, wherein the parties had each acted knowledgeably, prudently, and without compulsion. Absolutely correct, right? It hit all the right points. Try and explain that to a buyer or seller. Say that, practice that script. You can't, right? It's really difficult. And they'll say, what are you, a textbook? So easier put, it's just what a buyer is willing to pay, what a seller is willing to accept. And it's got to be in a fair and open market, right? It's got to be in a market. So when somebody says, I got, well, we're going to talk a lot about this, but I got an offer in first day of listing. I sold for 10% over asking, and then they put a 10% over asking. An agent did such a wonderful job. We know that that's false, right? You took the first offer. So you're telling me that was in a fair and open market. There was 50 other people wanted to see that house. And you're telling me the first offer was going to be the best. So if you didn't put it in a fair and open market, meaning open, everyone gets an opportunity, fair, let everybody have that chance and have a proper structure to it, then you can say, yes, I got market value. So these houses that are selling currently today, when you're talking to your sellers, you have to say that, listen, in order to achieve market value, which is the highest price somebody's going to willing to pay and then what you're willing to sell it for, we need to really have a good marketing strategy. Okay, we really need to be organized. We need to put that plan in place and let's go through that. I'm going to talk to you about it. So this is what we're going to do. So you got to win the listing, and how you're going to win the listing is exactly those conversations we just talked about. They have to understand, the market, what's happening in the market, and you're able to leverage what's happening in the market to get the highest price. And you can talk about exactly the situation I just said. Listen, if we take the first offer and it looks good, how good is good? In this market, we know how good is good. I can't believe what the prices they're getting. And neither can the sellers, and neither can the buyer that paid it. But the reality is that they're blowing these numbers out of the water. Therefore, we just have to create an environment where we can do the same for our sellers. So we can find out who's going to pay the best, who's going to pay the most, right? So first of all, I just want to say, if you're winning the listing, have a good listing presentation. Okay. Some people can walk in there and just talk the talk and hit all the right points without anything organized or in a fashion. But this is a digitalized version. There is a printed version as well. I would do both and bring both and decide which one you're going to do. Every listing presentation is different, right? You're not going to do the same listing presentation twice. Each property is marketed differently. Each market condition is different. So there's no way that we can actually teach anyone to do a listing presentation in every single market for every single house and every single seller and all their motivations and all the rest of it. What we want to do is we want to give you the tools in order to have a professional presentation, and then you decide what is best for this scenario. Okay, so that's very important to realize. Here are some of the things that is not going to change, right? We're going to do this in this particular situation, I put down some stuff that is specific to a seller's market. Okay, so that's why I wanted to do this today is this. Yes, market conditions have changed. The thing that doesn't change is the things you want to hit on, right? In a listing presentation, you want to talk about the marketing, you want to talk about yourself and the brokerage and all, the accolades and the confidence that they're going to have. That all stays the same. But here's some things that will change. So come prepared, have a market analysis. So they need to know what you think is happening in the market and your plan, right, to get the best price. So let's talk about the plan. Focus on the market conditions, how you'll be structuring the marketing plan. Number one, are you going to consider a price that's below market value to stimulate offers? So the first thing you're going to talk about when putting together a plan is, are we going to hold off offers in this type of environment? Today, I would say in most markets and areas and situations, I'd say yes. If you don't overprice the property, you'll be fine, right? If you way overprice it or anything, yeah, you're going to run into problems. You're not going to get multiple offers. But are we going to go below market value to stimulate more of them? So we have 100 showings, right? Or are we going to try and bring it a little closer so we only have 20 showings? So we've kind of cut the bottom line off to be more manageable and get more people through effectively. We're not lined up outside the front of the house and the person that was going to pay the most says, forget this, and takes off. So you don't want to do too low, right? So you have to have that conversation and say, if we've got, like, we're hearing it, 64 offers, 300 people through on the weekend. We're hearing this. I'm going, the agent's not doing this properly. They think they are. They think, oh, I'm amazing. I got 300 showing. No, you just lost the person that was going to pay the most because they weren't willing to wait in line and do a 5-minute showing while everybody's through a pandemic and nobody's wearing masks and everybody's unorganized, right? Do not put yourself in that position. And if you have that conversation with your seller, then they will also say, oh, thank goodness I have you. Right? That last agent was going to get 300 people through the house and get all these off. And we understand that. Yeah, no, if I wouldn't wait in line that long. So have that conversation. Number 2, what are you going to do to stage and present the property? I bring this up because I want to make sure that you do understand that it is important, obviously, to put some thought in a seller's market, how that property shows. Even, you know, time is of the essence. And we've been in this market for a couple of years now. I don't think tomorrow it's going to fall out. So if you need to take an extra couple of weeks to make it look fantastic, then do it still, right? In this market. So talk about that. Number 3, you need to have a house available to show, okay, to interested buyers. Are you going to do 30-minute showings instead of 1 hour? Now you have to balance yourself between your price of the house, how many showings you're going to receive because of your price, and therefore say, well, we did price this pretty low. Let's do 15-minute showings. Well, I wouldn't price it that low then, because to get somebody there on time and organized and have the next person come through without people waiting, 15 is too low. 30 minutes, that's more reasonable. Okay, 1 hour, you need to be closer to the asking price to, you know, make sure that you don't have 100 showings over the weekend in order to do 1 hour showings. Because guess what? There's only about 8 to 10 hours in a day that you can show the property. That's only 8 to 10 showings in a 1 hour. So you get 16 to 20 in a half hour, times up by 2, right? Maybe you can get 30 to 40 people through. So calculate it and talk to them about that. So you have to structure yourself properly. Number 4, what is your strategy on holding offers on a future date? What is the strategy? Are we going to hold? Yes, we are, right? We're priced at just below market value, however you decide. But we know that there's lots of people looking. We need to get as many people in as possible to get market value. That's the definition of market value. You always go back to the definition of market value, right? We need to get as many people through the house. Therefore, we do need to hold off, but not too long, right? So one of the tips that's coming up is don't hold it too long. What's a good time period? And again, I can't tell you what that is because every situation is different, but we're looking at 5 to 7 days, that sort of thing. To get enough people through that we can say we got market value. I explain what a bully offer is and what a preemptive offer is. I'm going to put some emphasis on this in the next few slides. Okay. I will say that 95% of the agents out there don't quite get the difference. And they're doing these preemptives. And whoever the first person that said preemptive and what they're doing in the listing, I mean, everybody started copying them and they think that that's what we should do. I'm going to convince you that is not what you do. Okay, so we're going to have that conversation, but you need to explain this to your seller. So when they say, well, everybody else was, preemptive and we'll take a lower, offer early if it's good. And I said, well, don't worry, we'll still be able to do that, but I'm going to tell you how we get the best offer early. Okay, when we set it up properly. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Have your strategy ready. Okay, you can't go in there to a listing presentation and say, we'll figure it out, or yeah, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do that, or you have to have it ready. Like, this is what you're planning on doing, have the confidence. I think if you were in front of me today on this Zoom meeting or watching this video, I think you can see that I have the confidence of knowing what to do in this market, right? So would I get the listing is the question. I think I would. Just based on confidence, knowing what to do for the strategy to get the highest price. So you need to do that. You need to do what I'm doing is have that confidence and knowing that this is the best strategy in this market because of XYZ. So we'll get into that in a second. How your online marketing strategy will drive traffic to the house. Okay. We currently have a great online market strategy and it shifts us a little bit. prepare early. The spotlight marketing is what I did for 16 years in selling real estate, 10 years actively selling and on our team and everything. So I helped develop that program with the company, with the Spotlight program. The reason why I did that was because I was trying different techniques on how to get up on the Google search rankings and to have everything ready the day of. Okay. If you are not ready the day of with your pictures, your tour, syndicated, listed early on the Spotlight. So put your listing, right up early so that Google sees it first, and then raises you up and gets people contacting you and seeing the property through your stuff. So this is the things that you need to do. So your marketing strategy and the online strategy. I'm passionate about the Spotlight program because I know that it works really, really well. And we've put a lot of things in place in order to make sure that's done properly. If you choose your own photography and your own virtual tours, and whether or not you do a drone, and whether or not you do a iGuide. So these are all options to you, and you can use whatever you want, but be prepared with it and get everything ahead of time done. So if it takes another couple extra days to get that all set up and ready, I would suggest you do that. Just show how organized you are with your listing, and you will bring confident buyers with an organized and very structured listing rules that I'm going to show you in a minute. Like everything you do, right? Everything's a timing, right? And when you do what I'm going to suggest in a minute, and you have those rules set up, and you're telling all the agents and how this is going to happen, they're going to say, listen, this is an organized listing. We're not lined up out front. We are getting communication from the listing agent. They're calling me back. Yeah, we're ready to go. And you have a confident buyer knowing that nobody's taking advantage of them. That's what their fear is right now. Somebody will pay the money. They have no problem with it. They just don't want to pay the money because they think that the agent's doing something shady, right? So if you're listing, there are a lot of those scenarios that are out there. Obviously, a seller will go with you because they know that you have it organized for them. Do your typical awesome listing presentation, but emphasis on how you're going to drive that traffic to the property, creating offers and more money. And it's not about the amount of traffic, it's the quality of the traffic. Okay. Again, 300 people is not what you want over the weekend. You want the top 20 buyers. So how do you get that? Well, you need to price effectively. You need to be organized. You need to give enough time, right? So you got to do all these little things when you're listing in a seller's market to be organized. And it's tough right now. So let's prepare it. Let's get organized. So some top tips. I talked about this. Hold off in a reasonable amount of time, not too little. You get 300 all in one day, not too long, or people are like, yeah, I'm moving on. 3 weeks holding off offers. Forget it, right? Right now, actually, even extending longer than 7 days, it's got to that point where I'm okay with that. It's so low in inventory and there's nothing out there that competition is not what you're worried about. You're worried about getting as many people through the property to get the highest price for your seller. So I could extend that right now to 2 weeks. People are going to maybe disagree with me on that, but I would consider having that conversation. Number 2, sign a listing agreement as an exclusive. Okay, when you get the listing, get them signed. And most people think, oh, I'm signed, everything. When does the listing start? It starts in 2 weeks. We're going to get it prepared. We're going to have the stagers in. We're going to have we'll put a sign out front coming soon and everything. We got the listing. I said, okay, but it's a listing that is in place in 2 weeks. If somebody, because you're going to do a lot of great things, right? Bring in all these people, the neighbors know, everybody knows, and everybody wants it. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get it sold out from underneath you. If you don't have an exclusive in place, they can sell it from now up until the date the listing starts. That's what the contract says. That contract is not valid until the day you start. So you do not have a listing when you get that signature. Get it signed exclusively first, okay? And it does take time to properly go through the whole process and get organized and do all the rest for you. So please do me a favor. You're going to sign 2 listing agreements. You're going to sign one exclusive, and then you're going to sign the one for the MLS that will come to the market the date that it hits it. And don't sell it early. define market value again. Just say, listen, you're going to get a lot of questions. I know that we're going to bring in the stager and the person that's going to clean the floors, but when you get that contractor that's in the house saying, well, what are you listing this for? And I'll tell you what, I'll give you this today. You know, we can skip real estate fees and all the rest of it. So you get these contractors. This happened to my neighbor. They were the ones that were on the good side of things, which is the buying side, and they were doing the roof. The guy's a roofer. He's even doing the roof. And they went to the seller, said, listen, if you want to sell it, because you're selling it in 2 weeks. I said, why don't we just do a deal today? Offer them a reasonable amount. Actually, I think under market value, to be honest with you. And the sellers took it, and couldn't believe it. I'm like, oof, agent should have signed an exclusive listing, right? You have to protect yourself and the client for that matter. The seller undersold that property, right? So number 3, don't overprice it. Okay. In a seller's market, it is detrimental, right? If you sell in a seller's market, or if you list overpriced in a seller's market and it doesn't sell when offer presentation comes, guess what people think of that listing? Now, today they might think, oh, thank goodness I can get one, but they won't. Buyers aren't that crazy, right? They will not go at a property and offer, you know, in most cases, will not offer for a property that's overpriced, right? Way overpriced, thinking that it's worth 3 million when it's only worth 2 million, because they think, well, I'll try it and throw a dart and see if I can get it, right? Be careful. You will stigmatize that house. Any house that can't sell today, there is something wrong with it. I don't care what it is. It's either the price or there's something wrong with it. And you got to find out why it didn't sell. So, you know, typically it's price, but you need to find that out. So don't overprice it. Make sure the house is available for showings, right? We talked about that. It has to be available. Consider even moving out for the week. That's a great idea, right? Have them take a vacation, go to Mexico. I'll come back with 20 offers on your tail. Don't tell them it's 20, but you know, you come back and we'll do our offer presentation, right? When people call and they'll say, hey, would you take a bully offer? Would you take a preemptive offer? You take a preemptive, all those questions. No, they're in Mexico. Too bad. So sad. Come with everyone else day of, right? I think it's a great way to do it. Number 5, communicate with all the showing agents as much as possible. Agents hate agents these days, and we need to work together. The reason why they hate them is because they're unorganized. Somebody lists a house and they're getting 50 people calling them because they, again, went through the wrong process, all this sort of stuff, and they're not returning phone calls, and they're saying, and they want to put in a bully offer. And, you know, listen, communicate with them. If somebody's interested, call them back, right? Let them know, send them the rules that you have set up for the listing presentation and say, this is what's happening. Read the rules. It's all in there, right? And I'm going to show you that list. Number 6, deposits are so important. Okay. It's not the quality of the offer as much as is the quality of the client, as well as some of the things in the offers. For example, consider the herewith. So you may decide to say, you know, and in my rules, I'll put that in there as, you know, in this environment, I said, listen, if you want a competitive advantage, you want to ask me how you're going to get an advantage on this house, bring a check. Okay. And it's certified and it's a bank draft. I want that check with the offers. And if you do herewith, you're going to the top of the pile. And if you're even close to being the best, we're taking yours over anyone else's. Why? Because it's solid. We have your money. Right? How many people are saying, I changed my mind, I'm not bringing the deposit, and think that they can get out of the deal? Okay. Number 7, best offer is not always the best price, right? So just said that. it's not always the best price. Don't look always for the best price. Obviously, that's your motivation. You want the highest price. But when you're talking a $5,000 difference at a $2,555,000, right? Or $1,855,000 instead of $1,850,000. Who cares? And that's why I'm like, we're talking commission. Who cares if somebody's doing 0.5% less? That's not what's important in this scenario. Can you imagine listing with somebody that messes it up, right? Gets $100,000 less for a house because they didn't do the right process. They didn't do the right holding off and offers and making everybody feeling organized. They took $100,000 less than the market that the market could have dictated because they used an agent that saved them $10,000 in commission. Craziness out there. It is so important right now that it goes through the right process. Anyone trying to sell their own house right now is going to get blown out of the water. I would be looking for, if you get buyer's agent, look for exclusive listings right now. Look for private sales, right? Those are the best ones because they are not getting market value, right? And they're really shooting themselves in the foot. Number 7, best offer is not always, I did that one. Number 8, try not to get bullied. Okay. I want to define bully and preemptive in a minute, but try not to get bullied unless they're blowing your socks. I'm talking, geez, and even then, in that case, I would be concerned about it not appraising out and all the rest of it. But if they give you a price that's absolutely ridiculous and you want to try and look at it and maybe accept it, there's a process to go through. But listen, the reality is define market value for people and let them know that it's the amount of people you get through and the demand and holding off offers and going through the whole process that's going to get you the highest price. Stick to the marketing plan. If you're holding off, hold off, right? Try not to get bullied. Some sellers and some agents love bully offers because they can get out of having to do their job that much longer, or including the sellers, right? They don't want to show their house anymore. They didn't take their vacation. They've shown it to 20 people yesterday. One guy is out front yelling at them, this, that. I just want to sell it, get it out. Okay, I get it. But it's only because the agent didn't really organize it properly, price it properly, do everything properly. That's when a bully offer will come in, and then they'll just get a little less in market value. And that's, again, probably with an agent that charged them less in commission, just wanted to get the sale, weren't organized, took the bully offer, convinced them to take it, all the rest of it. Okay. Be confident with your instructions, be confident with your marketing plan. Okay. And follow it through. So here's my favorite topic: bully offers versus preemptive offers. So what is a bully offer? Definition, as far as I'm concerned, there is no definition. I'm sure that Google will try and define it and all the rest of it. But what a bully offer is, okay, it's a forced offer by the cooperating agent. So an agent comes in and or a client comes in and offers something that we've said, no, we're not taking offers. So it's going against your direction, right? That's why it's a bully offer. They're bullying it through. They're saying, hey, you got to show it. This is a great offer. You have to show it. And you look at it, it's not a great offer. And then you tell your seller, it wasn't a great offer. It's not a bully offer unless it's a great offer, right? So remember that bully offers are typically very, very strong. Okay. And if the seller decides to take it, it's up to them. It's not up to you, right? So don't say you're not taking them. Okay. I just said not to take them, but I didn't say tell people not to take them. So I'm going to show you examples of good and bad ways to list a property. This one here, I just honestly, it took me 2 minutes to find an offer or a listing that had instructions, because everyone's doing this. And I think it's craziness. Here's the brokerage remarks. See disclosure attachment for more info. Great. Buyer to verify all measurements. Okay, fine. And taxes, because, sellers, anyway. Offers to be graciously reviewed on Tuesday. Well, thank you. And actually, this is October 5th, 8 p.m. Please register by 6, send by 7. This is the right one. So I was good. I was going to actually tear it apart. I'm like, but this all looks okay to me. All you're saying, hey, we're going to review it on Tuesday, October 5th at 8. Please register by 6. They're saying the right thing. They're not saying you must register by 6, because anybody comes in at 7 still gets it presented. But try and send it by 7. Please attach the schedule to allow 2-3 hours notice for viewings weekdays after 3. Perfect. Okay. Buyer verifiable managements. Anyway, I'll go into my criticisms later. But in this scenario, what they've done is they've held off offers. Okay. And they're saying that they're going to review it at 8 o'clock. This is the right way to do it. They mention nothing about preemptives, nothing about bully offers. That's the right way to do it. Now let's look at the wrong ways. What if they put seller reserves the right to review preemptive offers? Well, first of all, every seller has that right. So you're saying something that's true on everything. So why do you have to put it? Well, I put it so that, because we would look at it. If it was a really good offer, we would look at it. I said, well, what if it's not a really good offer? Would you look at it? Oh, no. Okay, well, now you're saying to bring them. You're offering people to say, hey, listen, I'm going to hold off offers, but bring an offer anytime you want. Okay, you sound incompetent. You're sounding like you do. I mean, to me, when I see that, I think of incompetence. I think of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, because to say you're going to hold off offers, but bring in an offer anytime, it's ridiculous. It's silly. So I'll bring an offer. So they bring an offer. Looks reasonable. And in a seller's eyes these days, what's reasonable, right? Crazy market out there. $1.2 million sounds good. Yeah, we should consider this. Okay, well, you're going to consider it. We got to let everyone know, got to change the MLS directions, we got to contact everybody, and we'll cut off half of the buyers. Are you willing to cut off half the buyers? By the way, market values and open market and et cetera, but we'll cut them, half of them off, and we'll look at this okay offer tonight. Is that what you want to do, Mr. Seller? Right? So do not have this conversation. You're not reviewing preemptive offers. You're not asking that you will review. You're not asking for it. Don't ask to be put in a situation to accept a lower offer. Don't be asked to put in a situation that they're already allowed to be in. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's a big rant of mine. I don't like it. So don't do it as far as I'm concerned. And if you want to have that conversation, I will have it. No problem. Number two, I've seen this. Seller reserves the right to accept preemptive offers without any notice. Oh, wow. Okay. What's RICO's rule? RICO's rule is you must notify all people that have shown the property. You have essentially written up your fine and your RICO slap on the wrist. You've written it up. There it is. It's in writing. It's on the listing. You're not going to give notice. Without notice, we're going to accept an offer, even though we've held off till Friday. Not only are you building a bad reputation with everyone in the industry, including other sellers and buyers in your business and other realtors and respect of everyone, you are completely doing the wrong thing here. Okay, and not only that, I hate saying illegal because that's not what it is. It's not compliant with our rules and regulations and RICO requirements. If you are going to get a real good slap in the wrist, you are going to get a fine from RICO or have to take courses, or eventually, I don't know. I've seen people do a lot worse and lose their license, but we won't go into that. The reality is you're gonna have problems, real big problems with that one. Number three, seller reserves the right to accept compelling preemptive offers. So now they're saying, okay, Aaron, I'll tell you what, I get what you're saying, right? Maybe they'll bring something that's not great. Well, what if I say compelling? Right? What if I put in there the right to accept a really good offer? What's a really good offer? Guys, we're trying to get market value. We're trying to get the highest and best price. Okay, so why are you saying compelling preemptive offers, willing to accept and all this kind of stuff? So you see, you get everybody throwing this out. It's just not a good way to do it. You're trying to kind of say, well, bring something in early. Don't do it. Okay, just don't. That's the answer. Just don't put anything to do with preemptive offers. Here's another one. No preemptive offers. Okay, Aaron, we listened to you. We're not going to so we're actually going to put that in there because I'm a great agent and I'm going to say no preemptive offers. We are sticking to the plan, Aaron, and I agree with you, right? Well, that's not good either, right? And I'll tell you why. Because now you have handcuffed yourself and your seller from a bully offer. Bully offers are bully offers. They can do them anytime. And if it's amazing, let the seller look at it. Right? And let them decide whether or not they're going to accept $1 million over what we valued it at. Right? If somebody comes with a bully offer, you can't handcuff yourself and say, no, we're not going to look at it. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't the seller, if you're sitting in front of a seller and say, sellers, we're going to list it for $1.5 million. We think that's what it's worth. We're going to hold off offers. We're going to do the whole marketing plan. But let me ask you a question. If somebody came with $2.5 million for your house today, and marketing aside, just they came tomorrow and they bullied an offer, would you take it? Of course I would. Okay. Well, I'm not going to put no preemptives. I'm not going to put no bullies. I'm not going to put anything. What I'm going to do is give the flexibility to the market to decide what you want to do. And if something comes and it blows our socks off and everything, I'm going to show it to you. But we want to stick to the plan, right? Yeah, we want market value. Yeah, we want the highest price. Yes, we do want the highest price. All right, so we're not going to do any of the silliness with preemptive offers or whether or not we're accepting or whether or not we are or aren't and all this sort of stuff. So when somebody calls you and says, are you accepting preemptive offers on this listing? And you say, well, you can always bring something, but I am listing, we are doing our presentation on Friday. Okay. And that's what we're doing. We're, obviously you put something together, I'm going to show it to the seller because I want to do my job, but that better be something that would absolutely stop us from doing Friday. And by the way, I'm doing Friday. So now what does that buyer agent do? They go back to the buyer and say, listen, unless we blow their side, they're doing it Friday. Right. And of course, that sort of stimulates the process, but you've put nothing in writing. I've got an example for you. You put no preemptive. Yeah, I mean, I just gave the example. You put no preemptive offers and something comes in and your seller wants to accept it. Now you are completely out of you've put no preemptive offers and then you did accept one. So now again, Rico calls you and says, hey, what were you thinking? Okay. So that is a very good example of what not to do, especially when it comes to no preemptives, et cetera. Now, what should you do? And we've talked about this, right? So first of all, don't put anything about preemptive offers other than obviously the date you're holding off offers. Here's the reasons. I went through them all. Seller always has the right to move the date, so they're allowed to do it anyway. Don't handcuff them with a statement of no preemptive offers. Number two, if you put anything about preemptive offers, you're attracting the offers and not be willing, might not be the best. The seller have to make a difficult decision. If it's a reasonable offer, are we going to get any higher? That whole situation, you're not really getting market value. Number three, if by having as many people through the property as possible, can you ensure that market value, right? You can ensure market value if you put it in an open market, a willing seller, willing buyer, everything's fair, right? We got the best we could. Number four, if your seller decides to look at a true bully offer, it must be much higher than that. It will be much higher than a preemptive. The reality is, if we go back to the bully offer days, they're better offers. Preemptives are just a good offer that they're trying to get you to accept, right? There's, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, there's still, gas in the tank, even on the preemptive. You ever had a preemptive offer come in at, let's say, $1.5 million? We'll give you what you're asking, $1.5 million. Are you happy with that? And then say, okay, you know what? We will look at it. We'll change the date. We'll let everybody know. You did change everything. You let everyone know. And then there's 5 other offers and they go, okay, now we're $1.8 million, right? Okay, so that's good, right? So you sold it, but you only sold it with 5 offers instead of 10 you would have got on Friday. As you get more offers, you get a higher price. You would have got $1.9 million, $2 million, so be careful. What will happen if a buyer agent presented a great offer with a 1-hour irrevocable? Here's another one. I like this one. This is the one I was thinking of. They come in and you've put will or will not accept preemptive offers. It doesn't matter. You got a preemptive offer, but they only give you an hour and it's awesome. It's at $2.5 million with a 1-hour irrevocable. Can you notify everyone that's shown the property? They get their buyers together. They put an offer together and they are ready to participate in your presentation with a 1-hour irrevocable. You can't. It's impossible. So the seller accepts the offer, right? And you get fined by RICO. Why? Because you didn't follow the rule. You have to notify everyone and give them an opportunity. Can't do it in an hour, but the seller can accept that in an hour. They can. They're allowed to, right? And you would be wrong not to allow them to. You say, oh, I don't want to get fined. You can't accept that. Well, wait a second. Who cares about the agent, right? I got a $2.5 million prop or $1.5 million property with a $2.5 million offer I want to accept. And you're worried about getting fined because you didn't know how to do your job, right? So trust me when I say, do not put anything about preemptive offers in your listing agreement. Okay. I hope that explained it all. I think you know where I'm coming from. I don't think there's any clarity issues there. Okay. If anyone has any questions, they can always call me. I will convince you not to do it. So if you do actually change the date, right? So you change the date because you did look at a bully offer because you did it the right way. You decide to look at a bully offer, which is fine. You need to notify everyone. Broker Bay will keep proof of that. So you'll do it through Broker Bay. You will change the date on the MLS listing. So it no longer says, so nobody thinks they're booking an appointment on an available property, right? So you'll put on there that change the date on the MLS, you take the date off, right? And you have to call everyone. Okay. You still want multiples, right? So you get that 2-hour irrevocable. I know, well, let's say it's 5-hour irrevocable. You call everybody, get a hold of them. You know, that agent that you couldn't get a hold of is going to yell at you. And they'll probably put in a RICO complaint and said, you said you were holding off till Friday. You didn't give me notice. I was showing properties at the time. They're going to take you to RICO, right? This happens every day. So please call everyone, make sure that you give enough time, et cetera, right? You still may get a bully. There still may be the opportunity that if you got a bully offer with a 1-hour irrevocable, there is still that fear. You've held off offers. Okay, there's still that fear. right? But at least you didn't put anything in the listing that we will not, and this is what people think, well, we will accept preemptive offers without notice. That's not good enough. Just because you put it, that doesn't mean that you're still breaking RICO's rule. So you've got to be careful, and you have to let the people give them an opportunity. There's really no other, I guess it's giving you a little bit of insight if you're representing a buyer of something you could really try, right? Bully an offer. They'll say we can't notify everybody. Well, it's the offer's on the table. Let me know. And they'll probably let it expire or whatever it is, unless it blows them out of the water. Typically, I'm letting you know, typically buyers will not pay over market value for something, because they're essentially, they'll pay more than the property. They think that the property's worth. They will pay that, which will establish the market value, but nobody's gonna, I can't even say that. I have seen some things go pretty high. But anyway, it's a tough situation right now. But if you can prepare yourself as much as possible and not put in the concern, not put in things like preemptive offer, I'm just concerned that you're going to get yourself into trouble. You must notify all people who shown the property and give them an opportunity. That's the RICO rule. Okay, broker bay instructions. Now, how do you properly do the listing? If you have instruction, now I've put this as a template, just so you know, in broker bay. Okay, so all the front desks have it in there. I have also put it in our Google Drive. Okay, so it's the offer registration outline, right? So our rules for multiple offers. And if you put this on the listing as an attachment to the broker bay will send this out automatically to anybody who registers the offer. Okay, I like putting it as a schedule on the MLS as well. Okay, so it's essentially what you're saying is I'm organized. And if anybody calls you and says, what's happening with multiples? Can I bring a preemptive? All the rest of it. I said, listen, do me a favor. I'm not taking preemptives. Look on the MLS. I've got a schedule there for my instructions on how this is going to work on in this case, Friday. So offer registration outline for 102 Any Street Crescent. Please register all signed offers at our number by 8 o'clock on Friday, September 11th, 2020, for example. Leave your email and cell phone number, please, right? They'll take it anyway, but, just nice to know who's got a register offer. I will email and page you at 7:30 with total number of registered offer on that date. Please instruct your clients to bring your best offer. I cannot guarantee there'll be any additional chances to improve. This is another tip. It should have gone in my other tips earlier, but please, this is what you tell everyone that brings an offer. Bring your best. I can't guarantee they're going to give you a second chance. And you can't. There's no way. So you can't guarantee your that second chance to improve, because the seller might take the first one that comes in that's amazing, or not the first one, but looks at all of them and takes the top one and says, I just want to get this over. It blows all the other ones out of the water. I'm satisfied with them and everything. So I can't guarantee there'll be a second chance. Ask for best offer. So when somebody says, hey, listen, I thought we were going to get a second chance. I get that all the time. And they say, I think I'm going to get a second chance. You are not lying. You have proof that you did not tell them that they would, first of all, and you told them to bring the best. I can't guarantee a second one. So I noticed Isabel has her hand up, so you might want to add in. Isabel's the broker of record, so there might be something good for her to add to this.
The only thing I wanted to add was going back to preemptive offers, what can and can't happen. Whatever you are doing to hold off offers, you must get that in writing from the seller. If that changes when you're accepting a bully offer or preemptive offer, you must get a new written direction.
Thank you. That's great.
We use Form 244, and the first thing RICO asks for is to see the seller's written direction. Okay?
That's perfect. Yes, I forgot that, and I really appreciate that, because yes, excuse me, when you're signing everything up in the listing, you're going to have them. That is their direction, right? They're part of the process. They need to let you know in writing. So thank you. Number 4, presentations will be by the listing agent. I'm going to do the presentations, and we're not having anybody, come into the home or anybody's getting any preferential treatment. Please attach Form 801 to all offers. Should I have any one of my own offers, I will disclose this fact, but I have not and will not be reducing my commission should this be the case. Gives them confidence, right? I will also disclose any reduction of commission by any other realtor should this happen. So they know that you're following the rules. Again, it gives them confidence in knowing that their buyers are being protected by a good realtor that is not taking advantage of a situation by giving it to the realtor that reduced their commission. It's a RICO rule. I will do it. Number 7, deposit check must be certified or a bank draft given within 24 hours. Okay. Please send a copy of the deposit if you want to be more competitive. I would probably add this in this environment right now, based on the frustrations of many seller agents, is I'd probably say herewith checks that are certified or bank draft will be highly, will give strength to your offer. Okay. Any survey clause will be crossed out and provide what we have. I don't want anything I have to sign back. I'd actually put that in there. I don't want to have to sign back anything in your offer. So come with a clean offer with no mistakes. I'd put that in there, right? You put your rules and what you want to have happen in a nice format. This is professional. Here's my cell phone number. Call me anytime. And then put your information down there. So please note, said verbally. Oh, yeah, I always like this one. Please note, anything said verbally or put in a text message or email is considered is nothing said verbally. I think I forgot to say nothing said verbally or put in a text message or an email considered valid in this negotiation. Some people think that because they, sent an, oh, I'll give you this price or I'll do that. Nothing. Listen, reduce to writing, right? And that's what we put in there. RICO would absolutely love this. If you use this with every single listing, you will get out of RICO jail 9 out of 10 times for most of the complaints that may happen. I will tell you though, I helped somebody through a listing recently doing all these right things. And would you believe we actually had, I'm not boasting here, okay? We actually had realtors call back and thank us for, they didn't get the property. They actually thanked us for finally doing it the right way. Can you imagine that? We get complaints every day, well, all the time, about people that are upset because they didn't get the property, right? And even if you do it right, you're still going to get people that are upset they didn't get the property. But to actually get people to say, thank you for doing it the right way, that's pretty impressive, which means this works, okay? So in your offer presentation on offer date, please make sure that you send the notifications to showing agents, call them. Everybody should be called. Everybody should be emailed. You want to make sure that who's coming, get an idea, provide feedback, all the rest of it. But start to keep track of the number of registered offers. Broker Bay is automated, so we can do that through Broker Bay, but use it, right? I have had situations where we've called brokers just to let them know we have an offer coming in, call it registration of offers. And they said, we have nothing in Broker Bay. And it's because the agent wanted to do it their own self, and they just took the names and numbers down on a piece of paper. And then, so there is no guideline for registration of offers. Sorry, there is no rules. There's only guidelines for registration of offers. Our guideline is to use Broker Bay. It is super good, and it'll make sure that we have proof that we've notified everybody. But please still call, and yeah, we get that a lot where people, aren't communicating right with everyone. Offer instructions, obviously we went over them, right? Send them out, make sure they got them. So did you see the offer instructions? Please read it. Any changes to offer presentation times? So obviously if there's changes, and this can happen, right? Please register by 6. I think we said 8 before, so I'll keep it consistent. Please register by 8, or no, we registered early. Please register by 5:36. We will present at 8. Well, if presentations don't start till 9, so be it. Just let everybody know, right? We're still waiting. Somebody keeps calling. They say an offer's coming in and all the rest of it, and they didn't follow all the rules and all the rest of it that I put down. But listen, the more offers, the merrier, right? You don't want to extend it to 11 or anything, get everybody upset and they walk away. But, just make sure that you're communicating what's happening. So if the any changes to offer presentation time changes, make sure you update that and update everyone. Where are offers to be received? Listen, is it going to be dropped off at the office, by email? I typically don't care how I get it necessarily. You want to send it by carrier pigeon, send it over. As long as I get it before 5 o'clock or whatever it is, I can guarantee you I will present it. But if it's coming in and I've presented everyone and we've signed something back or we've accepted something, and you send it in at the last moment, you may lose out. I'm going to present everything, and that's a rule, right? If you get something at 7:59, actually, if you get something at 8:30 and you still haven't presented or accepted anything, you have to present that offer. right? So don't say, oh, you missed the time. No, here it is. Have you accepted anything? No. Then here's my offer. If you don't show this, you're in violation of RICO's code, right? So, both sides should understand the rule on that, right? So reviewing offers, try and reviewing the offers, the review offers in the order they're received. Some people say, can I be first? Can I be last, etc. Just stick to I will review offers in the order they're received, just to be consistent with everyone. After all the offers are received, make notes, okay, on each offer. So especially if you're on 20 offers, right? It's like, okay, every offer I'm going to go through and I make notes. Offer 1 on a piece of paper. And this is what's down below here. Offer 1, agent, cell phone, price, deposit, closing date. Here's the details of that offer. And so that we can narrow it down for the seller when you present it. And when you're presenting it to the seller, to go through 20 offers, every single thing in the offer, that's not doable, right? Let's narrow this down, find out what the best offer is, decide what we're going to do. If you can, there are strategies, right, to try and narrow it down. If there's 10 offers that are completely out of whack, maybe narrow it down to 10, right? And if they're all similar or something, you can send them all back and ask them to improve. One of the things is I'd like to send all offers back rather than taking the top 2 and sending only the top 2 back. Okay. There are times where there's so much of a difference that you're going to do that. But I have seen situations where the 10th offer ends up being the number 1 and we take it. If you send it back for a second. Okay. Sending it back is not a bad idea. I did say I would take, may not accept that second chance, and you may take the top offer. Some people like to do that. But if you're going to send anything back, send back everything, at least everything that is reasonable, right? You'll see some of these offers and they're just out to whack. I wouldn't even give them a second chance. I wouldn't trust the buyer that came in on an offer that was completely not only out to whack in terms of price, but maybe it wasn't put together properly. Don't only look at the price offered. We have talked about that. There's other factors, conditions, other circumstances, etc. Financing approval and all the rest of it. Does the closing date accommodate your sellers to coordinate their move? So does the closing date accommodate your sellers to coordinate to move? That's just, obviously go through those conditions. That's just one of the conditions. So take that into consideration. Communication with the agents. Again, I can't stress this enough. It's sort of the last slide we have for this. You have to keep all the agents informed of the steps and the process that you're going through. When the decision's made, don't forget them, right? Call them, thank them, explain what happened. They just want to hear from you. Some of them will be upset, but at least you communicated with them. It's the frustration they get is when you don't say anything and it's like, I'm waiting for 4 hours and they just took an offer and I just found out and they didn't call me, and it's a problem. Communication is a key factor in the overall success of a transaction right from the beginning, right? From the listing presentation to signing the listing to the offer, rules and all the paperwork and everything you go through. Involve the seller throughout the whole process and involve any of the agents that are interested in providing an offer, and you will have huge success with that process. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and even the little bell to get notifications, just so you can stay in touch and watch more of these great videos.